So the first thing is if you're just in Drive, and so if you want to practice these or see what they actually do too, and you want to go to open just in your Drive on another tab, then the first thing is if you are in your Drive and you just hit the / button. So he's going to show you where that is on the keyboard.
You're right here, right next to the shift.
And then it will just put you right up in the top to search. So I know that's not a huge deal, but if you just hit that / it'll put you in the search bar and then you can search for something. So he's going to search and find a folder. And then if you happen to click on a folder, you can just hit F and that'll show you all the folder details. So Willie, do you want to tell us why the folder details would be important?
So with the folder details, when I hit F here, so this allows me to go ahead and share, bring up my get link information, any type of add to Google Drive, move to. So instead of having to go and click on the drop down or wherever you're at, it's a really quick, because I know there's lots of people out there who do a lot of different keyboard stuff. I don't do a ton of keyboard shortcuts, but if you do, it's a really quick way to get to that folder is by just clicking that F button, just like that.
F for folder. Who would have thought? We didn't know that. Folder. I know. Then if you're in that folder also, you can hit two other little shortcut keys, which is I. So if you hit I, it will show you all of the activity over in that right-hand pane. And Willie will tell you why that's important.
So I know all the time, like earlier, I was looking for a file and trying to figure out if it was being shared with me. Well, it wasn't in the folder that person said it was in. So all I did was hit the I, and then as you'll see down there, it brings up my information pane here. And so then I'm able to see, okay, when this was uploaded, when who had access to it and all the other stuff, when it was moved, if someone moved it to a different place as well. So that was, like I said, really helpful having that for the activity.
Are you talking about?
And then just to close it,
you talking about me? You saying that something wasn't where it was supposed to be?
You know, you or who else was that? Shelly Hujay. I'm not knowing names.
Okay, there's Shelly. Okay, good.
Yes.
But if you hit the I, it brings that up, and if you hit the I again, it goes away. Super magic.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next one is D for details. So I for activity, D for details.
All right, so hit that D button. So there's the details right there. So just like in every other folder that you have, this kind of tells you exactly where that folder is located at. It also will tell you exactly when it was created or where the item is located at, not just the folders, but any item that you have located at. And if I want to just get over to the I real quick, I can do that as well and toggle back and forth. And then if I hit it again, it goes away. So like I said, this, for those of you who don't like to take your hands off the keyboard as you're working, this is a really quick and easy way to keep moving for productivity.
Okay, Willie, you ready to go to slides?
All right, let's go to slides.
Again, some of these are not earth-shattering by all means. You might have already used these, but if you're in slides, you make slides, your kids make slides often, as I feel like I do. One that I use all the time, which again, a lot of these just keep you going from a drop-down menu and choosing something. But if you're in slides and you want to add another slide, you just hit Control M and it will add another slide to your presentation. So instead of going like slide, new slide, every time just hit Control M. And if you want to hit it 10 times because you want 10 slides, hit Control M 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, go ahead, what?
No, I was just going to say very handy as you're going through, especially if you are making the stop motion type slides and things like that. Very handy.
So the other one that I think is super helpful a lot of times for me is duplicate slides. So sometimes, like he said, if you're doing stop motion or if you're doing something over and over again where you want all of the formatting on the slide and everything to be the same, maybe you're just changing some of the text or whatever, you can hit Control D and it will duplicate. And so I know that seems silly, but like I think probably what I've done in the past is highlight it, Control C, then move my little line and hit Control V to copy and paste. But honestly, if I just hit Control D, it would duplicate it, and that saved me like 2 steps. So every step counts.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you guys have, I don't have this, but Willie pointed out, you guys have the home button and an end button at the top of your keyboard. Do y'all see
Hey,
those?
I'm going to say something about the Control D thing. You have to make sure that the slide that you want to duplicate is highlighted, because if you don't, it will bookmark it. It will bookmark that page. So that has happened to me a couple of times. So you have to make sure that the slide is highlighted before you hit Control D. So just personal experience there.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I guess I was thinking I would have had it highlighted to copy and then paste, so I didn't even think about saying that. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, you have home and end. So if you're in a slideshow presentation and you want to go to the top or you want to go to the end, you can hit home and you can hit end, and it'll take you to the beginning of the presentation or the end of the presentation. That's a super easy one. Then obviously you Control Shift V to paste formatting. So Willie likes to use this one probably more than I use it. So do you want to share about that one? Control Shift V.
So a lot of times when we're moving from different programs, or if we're copying and pasting to like an email or something like that, if you just hit Control V, and it will actually format whatever it is that you're putting into whatever that whatever it was that it came from. So if it's highlighted, or if it has smaller font or different font, it will actually look different. It'll change it. So I like this one because I'm able to select what I need to copy. So there's that Control C. And then if I hit that Control, so I'm going to go to this slide here and just do Control Shift V. Okay. And as you can see there, it doesn't format it. It puts it to where it will put it to format it on the actual email or slide or something like that. So you see here how it's really big and it's a different font. Well, here it's just standard, just like if I would have put it in there brand new. So sometimes I don't want to carry over the font that was in another program to my email. It happens a lot, especially when we're copying and pasting things from Eduphoria or when I'm sending y'all the video link, stuff like that. So definitely want to do it without formatting.
So there you go.
Sense?
Okay, so then the other thing in slides, and this actually works in all of the applications, it's not just here, but I know some of you have heard me say it before, but this one was a Matt Miller one, a shortcut that I heard him do the other, I think, while we were off for COVID in the spring, and I've just started using it. It stuck with me. So it is for you guys, if you are with text and you're wanting it to be bigger or smaller to fit within whatever. So like a lot of times if you're putting a heading and you're like, I want it a certain size, but you keep changing the size with the font up there, like the plus or whatever, to get whatever you want, you can highlight it and hit Control Shift and then the greater than sign, period, greater than, but because you're hitting Shift, it's the greater than, and it'll make your text larger. So Control Shift, and the larger you want to make it, just keep hitting the greater than, greater than, greater than sign. What a great math lesson to use with your kids. Look at that. That was for you, Megan. And then Control Shift less than will make it smaller. So less than, less than, less than, less than to make it smaller. So like in a slide, if I have my text box across the top and I want it to fill all of that, I hit Control Shift greater than, greater than, greater than, it goes down to the next line and I'm like, oh snap. And then I hit less than and it'll go right back. All you have to do if you're in present mode, if you want to use the laser, is just hit the L. And then you can like move the laser all around and point to stuff if you wanted to.
Oh.
Can you see it? It's a little red dot.
Hold on a second. It did not.
I don't know if you want to use it, but it's super fun. Your kids might. You just hit
This
L.
is purple.
L for laser.
With the
on mine it says pointer.
rectangle.
Choose the pointer. In the presentation mode on the bottom, there's a menu, and pointer is on there.
And when you hit the L, What does it do?
I don't know. I clicked pointer, not the L. Let me go back.
So just if
Mine works.
you're in present mode and you hit L and then you just move your mouse around, it makes a laser like Willie's showing.
Same thing. Yep. Same thing as the pointer button.
So if you're also presenting and you just hit S, your speaker notes will appear. And if you just hit A, your audience poll will appear. So if you wanted your kids to participate with the Q&A, there is that place at the bottom. But if you just hit A for audience, it'll show and let the kids start to interact Q&A if you use that feature. Or S if you want to see your speaker notes. So you might not go to Sheets very often just to do something in your work. If you're keeping information or spreadsheet, you might do it there. But we all probably go to Sheets whenever we do Google Forms. And I know you all have used Google Forms for things. So just some little tips and tricks. So just to make sure, Willie has had some people recently not know how to just select all in some different places. So he's going to show that really quick.
You can do, just do the Control A. I think some of us have used this before, and it will select the entire thing. Control A right there. So it's all selected. You can also, if you're just clicking with your mouse, you can click up here in this rectangle as well. But like I said, Control A is yeah, it's a different type of triangle.
You are not in charge of the math lesson.
If you just click up here, wherever you're at, and then you hit Control A, that'll select that as well. So we use Control A a lot for different things as well. Like I said, these are great shortcuts for not having to take your hand off the keyboard as you're working and typing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to select and not like super easy, you know, to select on the left-hand side and it'll select a whole row, or select across the top with your mouse and it'll select a whole column. There is a shortcut for that. Who knew? But Control space will select a whole column. So whatever column where you might be selected at that time, if you hit Control space, it'll select that whole column. Do you see how you just did that? Control space. And then Shift space will select a whole row. So where his mouse is, the box that's selected, if he hits Shift space, it'll select that row. So a couple of things that are just tips and tricks. Again, many of you might already know this, but just kind of to point it out, just in case you don't. If you want to highlight certain rows, maybe to copy and paste to another tab or another sheet, or maybe as I did frequently during remote learning applications at the beginning, when people filled out 5 applications for the same kid, I needed to delete lots of applications and they weren't necessarily together. So if you hold down the Control button and you highlight a row, and then maybe the next person you need to delete is 4 down, and I keep my Control button held down and I move 4 spaces down and highlight the next row, and then move 4 spaces down and highlight that row, it'll let me highlight, click on the far left, it'll let me highlight whole rows to move information, not in a consecutive order. So again, I don't know if you already know that trick or have used it or had to use it, but I use that trick often. So
often, yes.
The other thing is if you need to count. So recently, I discovered that a lot of people didn't realize it was counting different things in Google Sheets as well, that people did not recognize that or notice it. So if you've never noticed it, if you wanted to count certain things, so maybe you sorted your information and you have, let's say, bass levels, I'm just going to make something up, and you had all your D's and then C's and then B's and then A's, but you wanted to count really quick, drag how many D's, how many did I have in my class, how many A's, how many B's or whatever. You can just highlight and drag down however far, whatever that is, say all my D's, I drug it down, and Willie's going to drag down, and he's going to show you in the bottom right-hand corner of that sheet, it says count. And it shows you how many you have highlighted that are counted. Now, I could highlight the whole column, and it'll tell me how many are in the whole column, but oftentimes I sort things, and I don't need the count of the whole column. I want parts of the column. So like when I was doing remote numbers, that's just a random example. I wanted to know how many were in each grade level on the application, so I could drag down to 11th grade and it would tell me how many. I could drag down 7th grade and it'd tell me how many super easily. Gone are the days of going 1, 2, 3, 4 and like hitting the down arrow. Just saying. Okay, the other thing that I use most often in Sheets, I will say probably, but you can use it in anything. Like I use it on, well, whenever I'm doing a search, sometimes on a website that I'm looking for when I'm trying to find stuff. I'm shameful to admit this, but I often use it in the accountability manual when I just want to find something very specific. So I hit Control F. So a lot of you probably already know that, but Control F will help you find just about anything anywhere. So it's super helpful in Sheets, obviously, but it is helpful, and it does come up in a little bit different place when you're in Drive versus if you're in like a website searching for something, but you can use this pretty much anywhere. So I use that feature all the time. Just Control F and then type in any word, phrase of words, last name, anything. Okay, anything else on Sheets that somebody wants to, you know, share that they use all the time in Sheets? Or
I've only used this once or twice. Like your Control F where you find something, if you want to find it and replace it with something else, you can do Control H.
Awesome.
Like if it's grouped and you wanted to change anywhere it said blue, you want to change to orange, you could find blue. And I think when you hit Control H, it'll bring up like a dialog box for you to enter.
Yeah, your find and replace box. Yeah.
Awesome. I like to use the freeze column because sometimes the columns are really long and I like to see like a student's name on there. So I will freeze a certain column so that when you scroll over, it goes underneath the other one so you can still see somebody's name. But I don't know the shortcut. I just always do the help and do find freeze. So if there's a shortcut, you can give it to me. That would be great.
Well, it's under view. That's what I was going to say. I use view freeze because we've got all our data on these big spreadsheets and my name is down here. And so I freeze because I can't remember what column stuff's in. So I freeze the first 2 or 3 and then I can scroll up and find my data and put my data in.
Yes, and you're right, Diana. You can freeze the rows across, multiple rows, one row, whatever, or you can freeze the column on the left-hand side. So just however you have your data set up. Yes, I use that one all the time. Thanks for sharing.
That's very handy. Yeah, but it's under view. It's not where you think it would be.
Yeah.
It's under.
But is there a keyboard?
Freeze.
Or I just do help usually.
I hadn't seen one.
I haven't seen a shortcut for a freeze.
Okay. I thought maybe there was one and I just didn't know what it was.
Nope. If you go under view freeze and it goes to the side, or like you do, I go to the help and type in the word freeze often whenever I forget where it is. So, but yeah, I don't see a shortcut there, and I didn't see one in our list, which I did not create those lists. So, you know.
I didn't see what.
Some of them are not super different, but like, again, this is where he practiced the Control Shift greater than to make his font bigger, or less than to make it smaller. But if you want to undo, obviously you can hit the little arrow, but you can also just hit Control Z and it'll undo. I don't know, Z backwards. I don't know, undo.
Control Z. Yeah, I don't know why they came up with Z. I guess it's Control X or C and V were taken.
It's because it's by cut. It's by cut. So undo is if you cut something. Z is by cut.
Gotcha.
You go back a letter and there's Z.
Love it. Love it.
So that Control A, you can obviously use to select all in a Word document too. So if there's something you want to select all, and then like Control A and get really crazy and then do Command Shift greater than and make all your font bigger or smaller, that would just be like way crazy. You'd like combine all your shortcuts. So there's that. Control K. Willie liked this one, to insert a link. Now, I mean, you could just click on the little link thing across the bar right there, but if you like to keep your hands on the keyboard, Control K lets you insert a link. It also would be the way to insert bookmarks and stuff. So I know if you're making like hyperdocs and stuff like that, that might be a little bit faster than moving your mouse. And if you're typing away, and going back up there, but that's an easy one, Control K. Control F you can obviously use, and you can use home and end. So Willie liked the home to take you to the beginning of the sentence, and the end, is that right, Willie, to take you to the end?
Yep. Home and end up there, right on top of that num lock in the / on your keypad. So home and end. See, home, end.
Those are all the ones that we pointed out to share with you today. Does anybody have any other ones in Docs or something else that you're like, this is my favorite all-time shortcut. I use it all the time. I want everybody to know it.
Somebody was just asking about a shortcut for freezing. This isn't a shortcut, but I just tried it to make sure that it works. If you're in Sheets and like if you want to freeze like the top row, if you go to the top left cell, there's like it's gray. There's the gray bar on the bottom, and if you hover there, that gray bar turns into a hand. And if you drag that down to like that top row and let go, it freezes that. So you keep.
Oh, look at that!
Not a keyboard shortcut.
The dark line, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Hang on, you say that again?
So if you go to if you're in Sheets and you go to like the top left corner of the sheet and hover your mouse over that gray bar at the bottom of that cell, it should turn into a hand.
Yeah, right above the 1.
And then if you drag that bar down to like, let's say that top row, now you should be able to let go.
I call that a shortcut. Okay, thank you.
I mean, not a keyboard shortcut, but
and if you do the hand on the right, like where it goes up and down the column part, and drag it to the right, it'll freeze the column.
On the right. Oh, right there.
I feel like like this, like should be doing Vogue since we're doing.
Oh, and you can freeze more than because that's a problem sometimes.
Yeah, however far you drag that down, that's what it will freeze. Wherever you let go of it, it'll freeze that.
Awesome. Look at you, Amber.
Good deal.
Okay,
what is Control Alt Plus? So like if you want to zoom in on your like slides or drawing or whatever, Control Alt Plus instead of just zooming in, you know, just make if you zoom in the web page, it just zooms in like all the tools and everything, but you can zoom in by doing Control Alt Plus. I use that, and then Control minus takes you back. So I use that a lot.
It's kind of like the greater than less than, right? It does like a thing at a time, like the greater than less than. Yep. Awesome. Woo. Willie has a link with all of the shortcuts too, where we got all of these from. There's multiple different pages and shortcuts and information. And so did everybody see what Katie put in there? She said, when you're organizing your Google Classroom, she used the Windows key plus to get emojis quickly without having to pull up your emoji extension.
Sorry, that's supposed to say Windows key plus just the period. I just put the plus on there to show you hit them at the same time.
Plus period. So the Windows key and the period.
Yes.
See, I don't have a Windows key because I have a Mac, so I can't do that.
Right.
So sorry.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if there's one on there, but on the laptop, it is a blessing.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Anybody else have any more they want to share? That was super exciting. Thank you for sharing those.
I have one that everybody, and there's 2 ways to do it, but it depends on which laptop too. For some reason, like I don't know, but Windows button, okay, and the P button, okay. So when y'all are wanting to extend or duplicate your screen and stuff like that, so if you hit that Windows P button, that will allow you to do all that and change those settings. Okay, so if you want to have your name up on one or have your email up on your computer, but you don't want the kids to see it, then you would just drag your window over to that other screen. And so, so that's how you would do that. So it's the Windows key. Or some of y'all, I'm thinking of y'all's Dell, I think it's like F5 or function 5 or F6. It's one of those. I'm trying to remember up here at the top. But I know it works all. That's the one I use all the time. So
Okay, we are over our time. We were trying to end Windows plus P. Amy said, I can see everyone's screen, but the list is so blurry for me. I'm sorry. But you have a list right there of all of those shortcuts that we shared and something. If you want that printed, you let us know. We'll be happy to make it all printed colorful for you, and you can have the way I feel like I learned those shortcuts. I don't know y'all share, but I kind of just pick a couple and then start to use it over and over again, and then it just becomes second nature, and then I just add another one. So I hope you got a quick tip or trick to use today. Thank you, Willie, Fana, and for sharing, and thank you to all of you that shared your other tips and tricks. We hope that you have a great afternoon, and we will get you a badge coming for this too, so you can add up to your gift card.